Hello, welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Ellie. I'm here with Lily Garcia. Hi, Lily.
Hey there, how are ya?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. I'm so excited to chat with you today. Lily is a designer. She's going to be working on a client guide today. It's going to be super awesome. So we're really excited to have you. And yeah, it's going to be fun. Say hi in the chat. Let us know where you guys are watching from. It looks like we have some people joining us already. We have Steve and Viola and Voodoo Val. Hi, Val. And then we, hello, Irashful, Devang. Where are you right now, Lily?
I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. I just moved here at the end of the summer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I am in the Bay Area outside of San Jose. Would love to hear where you guys are watching from. And if this is your first time tuning in, if you're a longtime Adobe watcher, let us know and say hi. We can go ahead and pull up our schedule for today and go through that. There we go. Let me see. There we go. Okay, so earlier this morning we had Getting Started with Spencer Nugent, and then there was a Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge with Jesus, and Photo Compositing with Farah, and then an Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with Claudie. That was right before this stream. And then right now we are live with Lily until about 2 o'clock when there's going to be an XD Daily Creative Challenge, then a draw along with Kyle, and then rework it with Jesus and Claudie. So make sure you stick around. There's a lot going on, so much to see. Which is super awesome. And as a reminder, the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge for today is to design a colorful sticker set ready for print. Claudia went over how to do that in the video previous to this, which you can watch the replay if you missed it. But make sure you're working on that during the stream, because in about an hour and a half, Lily and I will jump over and review those, and Lily will give feedback live, and you'll be able to see your design and get feedback from the community as well. So make sure you're working on that. And as a reminder, if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure to hop over to Behance and watch here so that we can interact with you in the chat and make sure we answer all your questions. Because if you're chatting over there, we won't be able to see your comments. So cool. We have someone from Bangladesh. Irashful's from Bangladesh. Delia is from Milano. Diane from Panama. Everyone's from all over the place, which is so cool. Lily, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about your work and maybe show us some of what you've done in the past?
Sure, absolutely. So I am full-time. I work for backcountry.com as a graphic designer. But my own business, Wild Sage Design, started in about 2018. I started out part-time while I was working as the marketing and graphic design manager for a fair trade company, Swahili Coast, and loved working with all these different clients and getting a lot of variety throughout the day. So that was super cool, and that transitioned into working that full-time for a while, and then backcountry. So
cool.
This is, yeah. And I'm in the middle of a rebrand and site refresh, but this is my current website, and a variety of my projects from the past here.
Love that. I feel like it's the hardest to rebrand yourself or redesign for yourself. That's so challenging.
Tricky.
It looks beautiful though.
Thanks.
So fun. I love all the tones that you use, all the earth tones.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I absolutely love that kind of like softer bohemian look.
Yeah.
Yeah, super fun.
Awesome. We're so excited to have you on today. Do you want to kind of talk about what you're going to be designing, and then we can just jump right in?
Yeah, so I'm going to be designing my client welcome guide, which is something that I typically send to clients when they're kind of in that discovery phase and trying to decide whether they want to partner together. So it's a guide that I send over that has an overview of who I am and what Wild Sage Design is all about. And it also delves into like all my different packages and has some examples of my work in there as well.
Cool. Well, let's get started. I feel like this will be so helpful for anyone who's a designer and, just starting out getting clients, or maybe they've been getting clients for a while but wants to improve that process of onboarding. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for this.
Awesome. Let's see.
Cool.
So I am primarily going to be working in InDesign today.
Okay.
So I'm going to start a document.
If you guys have questions, feel free to ask them in the chat as we go along. If you have questions about design, about InDesign, whatever comes to your mind as we're going through, I'm sure Lily would be happy to offer advice.
Absolutely. Awesome. So I'm going to get started with some photos. Moyo Studio is one of my favorite resources for.
Yes.
Yeah, I love their stock photos. So
yeah, they're beautiful.
I did a little mini shoot like myself a while ago, but I'm going to do a full branding shoot with a friend when she comes to visit soon.
Cool.
So that'll be awesome. But for now, I've got lots of these, which I love. This is their Madeline collection.
Cool.
So I'll start with this guy.
Cool. We have Richard from Toronto and Devang from India. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is so beautiful. It's so soft. So so dreamy and soothing.
I love the aesthetic of these photos. I saw this collection in my inbox and I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So how did you crop the photo just now?
Yeah. So I placed the photo into the picture and then dragged these borders down here to fit the page.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came over here to frame fitting and I chose the fill frame proportionally option. And that filled it up perfectly.
Great. And you could adjust that crop if you wanted to, right?
Yes, totally. So if you want to like pull this down, you can also do fit content proportionally, but that will shrink it down that way.
Sure.
So to get that full frame, I'm going to do that option.
Cool. Adriana asked if you could reference the stock photo service that you referred to one more time.
Yeah, it's called Moyo Studios, I think. It's Moyo.
Yes.
And they have really beautiful stock photos, like all sorts of different collections with, just lots of great options.
Yes. And Adobe Stock is always great too. So
oh, yes,
another great place to look if you're looking for some good stock photos like this.
Absolutely. Awesome. And so this is kind of a sneak peek at my new branding.
Beautiful.
Thanks. I went with kind of a more playful look. I think I'm actually going to type this in so I can get it vertically lined up.
Arashville says, I'm totally new to InDesign and I don't know where to start. Do you have any tips for getting started in InDesign?
Yeah, so I love to use, honestly, going online. There's so many great resources to get started. When I first got started, I used Skillshare.com a lot, and also the tutorials on Adobe. I found like so many great resources that walk you through how to get started. And I also love the classrooms in a book that Adobe does. Those are super great resources.
Yeah, Adobe has so many good. If you go to the help page on their like site for all their programs, like they have so many good tutorials, and there's been other streams in InDesign as well, which is helpful because then you can kind of see how a designer would work and build things kind of just exactly like this. So after the stream, if you're interested in seeing more, those are available as well as replays. Voodoo Val says this is a lovely image.
Thank you. And I'm going to pop into my library because I have my color palette saved here.
Okay.
So I'm going to do add theme to swatches.
Okay.
And that will pop that over here. So I have all these colors available to use throughout the document.
And that's saved to your Creative Cloud library, right? So you could access that if you were in Illustrator or in Photoshop as well.
Yeah, one of my favorite. It's so nice. I love going to Adobe Color online and just making all sorts of color palettes and playing with that. I'm such a nerd for all that stuff. I have so many, like, just from playing around.
That's so fun.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to do this kind of burnt orange color here.
Beautiful. How did you come up with your name for your business?
It's kind of a funny story. Sage is apparently, I love hummingbirds, and apparently sage is something like the flower of sage is something that hummingbirds like.
Really?
And there's this parable that I heard once about a hummingbird that talks about how a forest is burning down and all the animals are kind of outside wondering what to do. And the hummingbird all of a sudden goes to a river and takes a tiny droplet of water and drops it on the fire. And all the animals are like, "You're crazy, you're too small, you can't make a difference with that." And the hummingbird says, "Maybe not, but I'm doing what I can." And so I loved that story of just how, like, no matter how small you think you are, you can always make a big impact.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. Awesome. And I'm also a total nerd for fonts. I have so many fonts that I love to play with. Let's see.
Do you have set fonts for your brand right now, or are you still developing that?
I do, yeah. So Bon Vivant is a font from Creative Market that I love. And so I use that. It's a really pretty script. And I'll show it to you here. And it's a really nice, like, handwritten look.
Yeah.
So I love that. Let's see.
What's the font that you used for the wild sage?
And that one there is called Claire, and it's available in Creative Market.
Cool.
Yeah.
Paloma says, I watched this hummingbird live stream on YouTube, and they're amazing animals.
That's so cool. Yeah. They're so neat.
It's really cool. And Viola says, this is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. And I think because this is getting a little washed out, I'm going to do a white overlay over this photo and make it transparent. So you can still see the photo, but the text will pop a little more. So I'm gonna, I went over here and grabbed the rectangle tool and drew a rectangle. And now I'm gonna go over to my properties panel and I'm gonna fill that with white. And I'm gonna take the opacity and just drop it down. And in my layers panel, I'm going, there we go. I'm gonna go over here. Sorry, I've got My Zoom window is stuck.
Oh no.
There we go. Okay, awesome. And ooh, it's not moving. This is weird.
A little technical difficulty.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'll pull this down here maybe. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to pull the rectangle. So it's just above the photo here, but it's beneath the text client guide and my Wild Sage logo.
Okay.
That way the text is on top of that and it'll pop a little more.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I love to design in preview mode. That's because that takes away a lot of the
less distractions.
Yes, exactly.
And just really see the design. Vudaval asked, how do you make font decisions?
Oh my gosh, I love that's like my favorite part of the whole process. So I have a Pinterest account, which if you're interested in following some of my font boards, it's also Wild Sage Design Studio. Okay. But I love to explore fonts on like Pinterest and also Creative Market, Typewolf. There's so many great sites that you can find great fonts on. But I love to kind of do I look through like other brands and other branding that I'm trying to kind of emulate and try to get like a feel for kind of the mood of the brand. And then I delve into how I want to kind of let the font speak to that.
Yeah, because it does communicate a mood or a feeling, kind of like how color does. It's the same in that it, like different fonts evoke a different emotional response when you see them. And so making sure that that matches with the voice of the brand is super important.
Totally. That was part of why I decided to go with like a handwritten font for mine, because I really liked that kind of like homemade, handmade, organic touch.
Okay. Yeah,
because that was something I was trying to kind of convey, a like down to earth vibe there.
Yeah, relatable, approachable.
Exactly.
I love that. Oh, thank you. Vudaval just linked your Pinterest in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Awesome.
Everyone go follow Lily on Pinterest.
Awesome. And these photos are massive. These are a couple headshots that I did. Whoa. As I rotate it. I just did these on my own. Set up a little tripod. And
nice. DIY.
Exactly.
The way to go these days.
Exactly.
Leo says, I'm making a brand guide soon. And so this is perfect. This is a great, perfect stream to be watching right now. So I'm sure you're going to learn a lot that you can apply.
Totally. Awesome. So I think I'm going to do a little title here and say, hi there, I'm Lily. And I'm going to do this in that script font.
Okay. Did you kind of think through the different categories that were going to be in this guide, or you kind of just winging it?
No, so I totally did like an outline of this ahead of time. And I wanted to kind of start with like an introduction to myself and then to Wild Sage. Okay. And then delve into my work and finish on an overview of the different packages that I offer. Nice. Yeah. Cool. But it super helps to like plan that stuff out ahead of time.
Yes. Yeah. And at what stage would you send this to someone? Like, would you send it to them right away as soon as they inquire, or have you already talked to them a little bit?
Yeah, this is typically after they've inquired and are interested in working together, so they can get kind of like a deeper idea of what the studio is all about and what they'll be getting. Cool. Awesome. And I'm going to do some placeholder copy here. Ooh. My calligraphy class, that was always our placeholder. Awesome. Fill that in here. And I do have a copy on my website that I'm gonna post into this. But that'll be just like a little introduction about who I am.
Cool.
Awesome. And I also have some additional little branding elements. Whenever I'm designing a brand, I love to create these little brand marks that kind of go along with what your branding is and kind of help tell your story.
Yeah. So you designed these yourself.
Yeah. Well, the
Beautiful.
little leaf I didn't draw, but the other two pieces I did do.
Okay.
Yeah, the little
Cool.
leaf is off a Creative Market.
Nice.
I think I'm gonna make
Jo
this.
says, already learning a lot with you. Thanks.
Oh, awesome.
Thanks for being here. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask them as we go along. And make sure that you're working on the Daily Creative Challenge, the Illustrator Challenge, which is to design a colorful sticker set. And Lily will be offering feedback on that in a little bit. And you can get all of the information for that in the challenge tab, which is right above the chat. You'll be able to get starter file there and get all of the information. So make sure you guys are working on that because we want to see what you create.
A little too much there. Yeah, just adding a little spacing in here, both between the letters and between the lines to let things breathe a little bit there.
Nice.
And on my website, I have an About Me section where I kind of have these little sliders that talk about, like, it says like dogs and cats, and it like
I saw that on your site. It was so cute. I loved it.
Yeah, I want to mimic that. So I'm going to
Okay.
do Get to Know Me and have that section there. And this, I'm going to make that script font again. And I think like,
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that like having your font hierarchies like planned out ahead of time makes things so much easier. So like for me, I use this script font for accents, and then this is a font called Overpass, which I use for most of my text. And then I also use a serif font paired with this called Sundays. So like I have that hierarchy already planned out, so that makes it super easy when you go in to implement things.
And would you want to use that throughout the whole document?
Yes,
to
totally.
keep it consistent?
Yeah, I think that's like one of the biggest things is like having consistency across your brand.
Cool. Leo says, how does advanced InDesign look like? Leo, I'm not totally sure your question. So if you want to clarify a little bit, we'd love to answer it. And then Elizabeth asked, is this going to become a magazine or a booklet, or how will you deliver this to your clients?
Yeah, so right now I'm going to have it saved out as a PDF that I can email. But there's some really great websites like issue.com where you can upload a PDF and it like lets it acts like a magazine. So like when you click the little arrows, it'll flip the page and it looks like a page is actually turning.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Cool.
These are going to be my little sliders here.
Cool. And are these just colored boxes that you, or rectangles that you?
Yeah, so those are just rectangles there.
Okay, cool.
And I'm going to select all of these and go over here and distribute them so they're all evenly distributed and in line.
The best tool.
It's amazing.
So good.
I can't even imagine all the math you'd have to do if that did not exist.
I know.
Cool.
So that one, so in addition to distributing them, you can align them like all together so that the tops and the bottoms all align, or however you choose to align them.
Yeah, and there's so many. You can also align by like the page. So like if we wanted this to be in the center of the page, we could make these a group and then click the center, but I'm going to keep mine over here to the left a little bit.
Cool.
But that's super handy if you ever need to get stuff aligned with the page versus like a group of objects.
Yeah, so Leo was kind of asking like for advice on like learning advanced uses of InDesign.
Oh,
But you kind of
sure.
mentioned some places that you learned earlier. So Skillshare
Yeah,
and the Adobe tutorials and other live streams. All
absolutely.
good places to check out. Joe is asking in a client guide, how much is too much? Like how much information, I think probably is what he's talking about. Like what kinds
Yeah,
of things should you include? Um, yeah,
totally. So I think it's a super great thing to give like kind of a little more of a brief overview when you're doing your client guide. Like I like it to be comprehensive enough that they really
sure.
get a sense of you know who you are and who your business is. But I think that it's also really great to make your PDF interactive so that you can
Yes.
yeah go in and like you can add links into your PDF so that people can like go click on that and it'll take you to your about page or some other area of your website that'll give them more information.
Okay, it's perfect that you said that because Elizabeth just said, Lily, have you ever made interactive PDFs with
Oh
InDesign?
yes,
I've been learning about
totally.
them lately and they sound really fun. So
Yeah,
we're gonna be doing that today, right?
totally,
Okay,
totally. Yeah.
awesome.
Um, and I used to, one of my clients used to be an online magazine called Rank and File. They're actually pretty cool. They do
Oh,
social
cool.
justice work
Yeah.
and they work with like all different kinds of like cause products and organizations like Tom Shoes is an example of
Oh,
like one of
cool.
those products that like makes a difference in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had a workbook that went along with every issue. And so I'd make like little fillable sections. And that was actually what I was planning to delve into tomorrow as well
Cool.
by showing a branding worksheet guide.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that is fillable. So that'll be interactive as well.
Awesome. That'll be fun.
And this all, I'm going to change the text of these, but right now, just dogs everywhere.
Eric asks, was the website you mentioned issue for magazine style? I think it's spelled ISSU, right?
I
There's no
think,
E.
I don't think so.
I think it's
Yeah.
just
I think
ISSU.
that's
So maybe
it.
try that and see if that works, Eric. Cool. This is so fun. So because you also work full time as a designer for a company, right? So
Yes.
how do you balance your client work and your professional?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
both professional, but you know what I mean,
Oh,
like your
no,
daytime job
totally.
and your business.
Totally. So it's challenging
Yeah.
sometimes. I love this to do software that's called ClickUp.
Yes.
I use it to manage like everything in my life. So I have like tabs for all my different clients and then
Hmm.
all sorts of like studio management things that I need to do, like posting on social media or updating my
Yes.
website or blog posts, etc. So yeah, that helps a lot, but it definitely can be tricky sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I think that's a good point that there's more than just working on things for clients. There's things you have to do
Yeah.
for the health of your business as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
So
And
that
it's
all takes a lot of time.
totally. And I think it's so important to like make time for those things because
Yeah.
like that's how you meet new people and get new projects and
Yes,
all that
that's
good
true.
stuff.
Yeah, it's how you grow. Oh yeah, it's ISSUU. Thanks, guys.
Oh,
Two
awesome.
U's, no
Yeah.
E. Lourdes asks, what's the camera that you use to take your pictures? So your self-portraits, what did you use for those?
Yeah. I have a Nikon D5300, I think. I'm still very much a hobby
Sure.
photographer, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's
They look really good for a hobby
oh
photographer. I feel like they look
thanks.
very professional. It's really hard to do with a tripod and like take photos of
Yeah,
yourself.
it's a strange experience because you're just
Yes.
like alone in a room, like, all right, I'm gonna smile now.
My
a
business partner
funny.
and I did that too, and I think it was the
Yeah.
first time that we were gonna be on Adobe a little over a year ago, and they asked us for headshots, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, we don't have any." Which we're photographers, so like we should,
Yeah.
but we set up a tripod and we're trying to take portraits of ourselves, and like it's really hard. It's
Oh,
really hard.
totally. Yeah.
So you did a great job.
Oh, thank you. And then I'm going to pop over to my website here so I can grab some of these things from my About tab.
Awesome.
Yeah, like
Yes,
this is the
ClickUp
little
is
section.
the app that you mentioned for your like task and project management, right? ClickUp.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
ClickUp is awesome.
Yes, it's helpful. Elizabeth says, OMG, hobby photographer and interactive PDF designer, you are speaking my language here. Leo asked, I'm outside of the States right now, and I want to know if I can make use of the remote jobs in the States to work for an agency. So I guess how we could talk about how you get clients, how remote work, because I feel like a lot of designers
Yeah,
work remotely with their clients. You
totally.
never really have to interact with them. So what are your tips on that?
Yeah, so I use a software called Honeybook to manage working with clients remotely, and
Okay.
it's so helpful. It handles like all of your contracts and your proposals, and you can even upload like this guide. I'll be able to upload as a document that
Nice.
I can like email as part of my proposal. It'll show up as like
Yeah.
in the emails, and
Cool.
yeah, it's super helpful. I'm gonna get rid of this last one.
And where do you find your clients right now? Where is like the main place that you're
Yeah,
getting them?
um, word of mouth was pretty big for a while.
Yeah.
I was working with a big group of photographers, and that was pretty cool because they kind of all spread the word and like let people
Yeah.
know. Yeah, and then also like Instagram is great.
Mhm.
Pinterest, I get a lot of clients off of Pinterest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
great
Pinterest is
place.
a very underutilized tool for getting clients.
Totally.
It's something that I think everyone thinks they just go to for inspiration and they forget to put their own work on there. But that's
Right.
been a big one for us too that we kind of didn't expect to like work for getting clients. So
Yeah, it's awesome.
yeah.
I love like putting new projects up on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, Lourdes says that you can use a Bluetooth remote for taking your self-portraits too, which is
Ooh, super
very
smart. Yeah, I was
handy,
doing a lot of
very
like
handy.
jogging in between
Yeah, you get a
the
real workout in
camera.
that way.
Yeah, I had a timer set and was
Yeah. And Voodoo Val says you're giving so many good links.
thanks. Yeah, I did a lot of research when I started into like all different programs and like just different ways to kind of keep on top of everything and
Yes.
all
So
that good
helpful.
stuff. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
Jazz says I got a lot more clients when I started using more social media.
yeah, I
True, it's
have been
important.
terrible with Instagram lately. I need to like get back on
Yeah.
there.
It's so
Yeah,
hard. It's so hard, but
it's tricky, but
it
it's
is
so worth
important.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
totally.
it takes effort, but it's worth it.
Exactly.
Pays off.
I grab the text to fill in here.
Cool. Lourdes is asking, how did you get started in design?
So I actually had kind of a funny transition to design. I studied peace and justice studies
Oh,
in
wow.
college. Yeah, and yeah, so I studied like social justice issues and that nonprofit work and that sort of
Okay.
thing. And
Wow.
I started working for a bunch of different nonprofits, and these design projects kept like falling in my lap. People were like, hey, you're kind of good at that. Would you mind taking a swing at this? And yeah, I just fell in love with it. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I just started like I was up till like burning the midnight oil, like trying to be on YouTube and blogs and Adobe tutorials, and just taught myself everything I possibly
Wow.
could. Yeah. And
That's
then,
incredible.
thanks. And then I was really fortunate to have a job working with that fair trade group, because they afforded me like just the best opportunity to like teach myself and learn. And it was, yeah, a really good experience.
I love that. I love hearing from designers who are self-taught. I think it's so common, like it's a really common thing to be a self-taught designer, and it's encouraging because it means that anyone can teach themselves and anyone can become a designer. And you don't
Yeah,
have to get an expensive degree for it. So I think
absolutely.
that's awesome.
I'm gonna grab my client guide copy doc here.
Oh, Elizabeth says I have an app on my phone that can connect to my camera so I can import images directly to my phone or shoot live photos and focus automatically.
Oh,
Wild.
sweet.
That's
That
really
is
cool.
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was my old template that I had there. I
Nice.
typically send as like a cover. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't put it in here. That's okay. I'm gonna use my website copy instead.
Cool. Arabella asked, what is your favorite part of the design process?
Yeah, I love branding. That's like my absolute bread and butter. So I love
Yeah.
working with different groups to like just kind of really understand their story as like
Hmm.
fully as I can, and to create something that really helps kind of bring that story to life and illustrate it and share it with the world.
Yeah, that makes so much sense with where you started to and like what you're passionate about, because I think having that like storytelling aspect to a brand that is nonprofit or is like working towards something is really important to like getting people on board with their mission. So,
Totally.
ooh, Paloma says I work for a nonprofit and I get some design projects sometimes. So,
Oh,
similar
awesome.
story.
Yeah, let me know if
Yeah.
you need some, some tips on that.
Yes. Oh, Voodoo Val is self-taught too. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I love it.
Yes. Nick says, do you have any tips regarding hierarchy? And also, hello from Washington State.
Hello, awesome. Yeah, I think that it's great to like focus on, do you mean like with font hierarchies or?
I'm assuming so. Let's go with
Yeah,
that. And then Nick, if you
awesome.
want to hear about different hierarchy, let us know.
Yeah, so with font hierarchies, I definitely love to kind of pick like an accent font. And oftentimes, like the hierarchy kind of starts with one font that I fall in love with, and I decide
Mhm.
where to place that in the hierarchy. So, like for instance, this Bon Vivant font I totally fell in love with, and so
Yeah.
I started with that and looked for a pretty neutral, but like kind of kind of like softer looking sans serif font to go for the text, because I wanted something super readable but modern
Right.
to kind of
Yeah.
offset the handwritten look of the font there. But yeah, like this is another one that I totally fell in love with, just with like the um, kind of the geometry of that. So it
Hmm.
totally depends. But I love when I do font research and find one that's just like stands out and makes it easy to kind of build off of, kind of like a
Yeah.
scaffold.
Cool. Yes. Viola says Pinterest for clients. Interesting. Yeah, I think it's something that people don't think about. Do you have any tips
Yeah.
on pinning or like how you've, gotten clients through that?
Yeah. So I can actually, do you want me to pull up my Pinterest real
Yeah,
quick
I
to
would love
show
to see
that?
it.
Yeah.
Love a good Pinterest page.
Awesome. So this is my Pinterest page. So you can see like some of this is my work that I've put up before.
Yeah.
And these are some that I recently put up. But what I do is I create like boards that kind of encompass like a bunch of topics. Like I have one for logos and one for patterns that I love. And from there, I add both a combination of my work and other people's work that I find inspiring. And yeah, it's a fun way to kind of, yeah, here's all, I have all these textures, art and logos, color palettes.
And then all your work links right back to your site, right? So if
Yeah,
somebody sees it and they click through to your site, and then maybe
exactly.
they'll hire you in the future.
Yeah, so like I think it's super cool because all these boards have like the same vibe that a similar vibe to like what I love to design in. So you're hopefully getting clients who have already kind of aligned with your aesthetic and are going to be a good
That's such a good
fit.
point.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for showing us that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nick says, I just finished a couple of teacher's guides, so it's quite the coincidence that I get to tune in to an editorial design stream. This is my favorite kind of work. And then he said element hierarchy in general. So if you have any other hierarchy tips, feel free.
Yeah, I think like alignment is so important, like just making sure that things kind of visual. I'm trying to think of a good way to
how to actually verbalize it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like really breaking up text is important because people get overwhelmed, I think, when they see like if this whole page was text and there's a little photo here in the corner, like then they're not getting a sense of kind of who you are, and it doesn't have a lot of personality. So I think definitely by like breaking the page up with personality pieces, whether they're your brand marks or photographs or little illustrations or even goofy things like this. Like I think that helps get your personality across.
Yeah, so true. Carrie says, it's so good to hear there are self-taught designers that have made it. That's what I'm attempting to do just now.
Oh, that's awesome. You can do it. It's awesome. Yeah, so I'm also going to go into the interactive bit here.
Okay. Oh, fun.
So I'm going to make this into a link. So I'm going to do buttons and forms. My goodness, I can remember how to do this. It's been a while. I think I'm actually going to hyperlink that. I'm going to have it go to my website.
Okay. I'm also going to underline it so people can actually say here too. Okay. So people know to click on it. So it just makes it a hyperlink without adding any sort of like underline or bolding to it. You have to do that manually. You can, but there are ways with the buttons and forms that you can create like a button over something. Oh, okay. So, yeah. Cool. That's so handy. Yeah, totally. Leo asked, is brand design highly competitive in the lower tiers? I guess just how competitive do you feel like, you know, your field is right now? I would say it's interesting because with COVID, things like the scene has shifted so much. Sure. Like it's kind of a weird time because a lot of people have been, they have the time to think about rebranding right now, where they're like, for the first time in forever, they're actually, if business has slowed down a little bit, you know, you have the time to really focus on polishing things. That's true, yeah.
which is awesome. Yeah. So I found that business has actually picked up since COVID, but it definitely is competitive because there are a lot of people getting into design at the same time because
Sure.
it is something you can do remotely. And yeah, but I say go for it, I think. I think
Yeah.
there's so many different aesthetics out there that, like, if one person isn't a perfect fit, someone else out there will be.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Oh, another question about Pinterest. Leo asked,
Yeah.
so those are not your work, but rather things you've composited together from Pinterest. But it was a combination of things that you had pinned that were other people's work and your own work as well. So you want to have
Yeah.
a wide variety. You don't want to have just your work, but you also don't want to have just other people's work. You want to have your own in there so that people can click through to your site and then hopefully
Exactly.
hire you.
Yeah, and I'll give another link. Tailwind.com is
Yes.
awesome. If you're trying to, like, because managing Pinterest, like, it's challenging because you have to
Yeah.
be active often and throughout the day. But there is this website called Tailwind, and they also have an app, and that allows you to, like, pre-schedule out your pins. It
Yeah.
automatically analyzes the best times of day for you to post. And then you can go in and either upload your own content and write the caption and everything for it and the link, or you can actually install a little browser like add-on thing to Google Chrome,
Yeah. A little
and
button.
yeah, and it'll show up on your Pinterest, and you just click that instead of the pin button, and it
Mhm.
takes it to your scheduling tool, and you can,
Yeah.
like, shuffle things so you can rearrange it, and it's
It's
awesome.
so good. And they have a lot of, if you're wanting to learn more about Pinterest, they have a lot of like content on the Tailwinds like Facebook page.
Totally.
Because there's always new updates. It's like any social media site, right? It's like always changing. So
Yes.
to learn all the best practices. Cool. Yeah, Joe says I'm learning a lot doing projects just for fun, some big brand redesigns, posters, etc. It's great to learn by yourself with no deadlines, no pressure, just you and your creativity.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely. Our son's asking, can we bring designs from Adobe XD into InDesign and make them into interactive PDFs?
That's a good question. I haven't ever tried to do that.
I think you could bring something from Illustrator in and make it
Yeah.
interactive. But I don't know XD very well, so I'm not totally sure. I would think so. I think if you could export a PDF from XD,
Yeah.
I would assume that then you could bring it in and add links in InDesign, but
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, kind of going back to hierarchy, like, now I'm going to bring in a couple more of those stock photos to kind of break
Cool.
up the space and give a little more of the aesthetic that I'm going for.
Nick asked, speaking of links, are there any good resources you have for interactive PDFs?
For interactive PDFs, I know Adobe's tutorials are awesome. I did a lot of kind of teaching myself through, honestly, just exploring the program.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can definitely find great resources online on Adobe's website. And that Classroom in a Book by Adobe also walks through that stuff
Nice.
fantastically.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Elizabeth said, I feel like you can import XD files into After Effects and animate them. That's potentially possible.
Yeah.
I wish I knew more about XD. I know I hosted one stream on XD and it was so cool. And it made me want to learn how to use it more, but I haven't put the time into it yet. But it seems so powerful.
Totally. I do web design as well, but I haven't really gotten into XD too much yet, and I really want to.
Yeah. Cool. If you guys are watching on YouTube, just a reminder to hop over to Behance and watch over here so that we can see your questions and comments in the chat and to make sure that we answer them. And then also don't forget to be working on the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. The challenge today is to design a colorful sticker set that's ready for print. And I know Claudia was showing how to extract a color palette from an image using the new Recolor artwork feature. And so I think that's super great. It's a new tool, something great to learn. You can watch the replay if you missed it and you want to see how she did that. But all the information for the challenge is in the challenge tab above the chat, and make sure you submit there so that Lily can give some feedback. We can see what you create. Oh, great question. CF Designer asked, what exactly is an interactive PDF, in case anyone doesn't know?
So interactive PDFs are documents where like you can add buttons and fillable forms. So you can have like links out to websites. And you can also have fillable forms where like people can like check a box or like write in like an answer to a question or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yes, so awesome. So basically the person who gets this PDF will be able to interact with it and learn more or give you more information or whatever you need for that particular situation.
I'm actually gonna make this. That's Sundays.
Nice.
Yeah.
Elizabeth asked, have you ever used Adobe Acrobat Pro for interactive PDFs?
I have not. Yeah, I'd love to learn about it though.
Yeah. I know you can add links. It's definitely not as robust as InDesign as far as like you can't really design something like this in there. So if you are just joining us, Lily is a graphic designer. Her business is Wild Sage Design, and right now she is working on redesigning her client guide, which she'll send to new clients, potential clients, to give them a better idea of how it would look like to work with her when we're working in InDesign right now. And this, like we just said, will be an interactive PDF. So if you have questions about design or InDesign, anything along those lines, make sure that you ask them in the chat, and we can learn from Lily's expertise. Oh yeah, Elizabeth says, I've heard there's a lot you can do in Pro. It's the reader that you can't do much with. That makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah, the reader is kind of just like you open it and there's very limited options. Thank you, Elizabeth. So I noticed that you are closing the text box around your text.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Do you have a reason for that?
Yeah, I love to do that just so I can get the alignment correct and make sure that there's like that all the edges are in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oops, that was too much.
Go a little too far. Leo asked, so is this a digital press kit or is it different from that?
Yeah, so this will kind of be a it'll be kind of like a welcome kit. So I guess it's similar to that.
Sure.
But yeah, it's like client facing. So it'll be given to clients rather than like for PR purposes, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, so something for clients who might want to work with you to get a better understanding of what your process is like, what kinds of things you
Yeah,
can do, who you are, why they should hire you.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Like whenever I get into InDesign, like I always find that like playing around with things is like half of the process. Like,
Yes, just kind of moving things
yeah,
around, seeing
totally.
how
It's
they work.
exactly. It's almost like it's like a scrapbook. Like I think of it like that. Like you
Yeah.
get to pick all the elements, but like at the same time, like you get to play with their placement and size and color and just kind of play with it and have fun.
Yeah. I love that idea that it's like a scrapbook.
Yeah. Like this.
And then are you just copying and pasting those elements
I
to
am,
duplicate them?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. You can also duplicate in your layers panel by clicking on something, and I think it's, yeah, duplicate page
Sure.
item.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love all those little shortcuts.
Yes.
So you can find so many great resources on like all the different
All the
kind of things you
shortcuts.
can do with your keys to speed things
Yes.
up while you're working.
Voodoo Owl says this is looking so lovely. And
Thank you.
Elizabeth says this color palette is beautiful.
Thank you.
And Manuel says graphic design is a process like our life.
Yes, totally.
And then Leo says, well, it's like that for me until the wheel of death appears. Yes. We have a question about art directors. So I guess if you're a
Yeah.
designer working with an art director, what would the difference be, and what would an art director do versus a designer?
Yeah. So I do work with an art director and a creative director at
Yes. Okay.
Backcountry. So I absolutely love having their guidance. I think that's such an amazing like asset to be able to learn from someone who's been in the field for so long.
Yeah.
But they just have so much knowledge of like the brand, and they're really kind of like the keeper of like the vision of where the brand is headed. And obviously like your voice is still super valuable and super important, and like
Yeah.
it's awesome to be able to offer your ideas and help shape that vision, but kind of at the end of the day they're the ones who like have that kind of idea in mind of what the brand should be and what it should look like. And they kind of help the whole team to stay in line with that, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great to be able to work with teams like that, because even if you are fully working freelance, you're probably still going to have to work with art directors or creative directors
Oh,
at the
totally.
companies that hire you. And so knowing how to collaborate with other people is super important, even if you're working for yourself.
Totally.
Oh, cool. Paloma says, yes, I've been wanting to do this for my podcast clients, so I'm glad to have an example.
Cool.
Cool. Bego asks, does every designer have to know how to do copywriting? Yeah, what do you think about designers having to learn? Do you need to know copywriting or be a good copywriter to be a designer?
So I personally, I love to write. So that's kind of a service that like has just kind of happened naturally for me as
Yeah.
an addition. But I would say there's so many great copywriters out there as well that like if writing is not your thing, like don't try to force it. Like you can
Yeah.
always partner with one of the awesome copywriters out there and have that kind of referral network where they'll
Yes.
refer clients to you and you can refer clients to them. And it's a great way to kind of network.
Yeah, that's so true. I think it's good to know yourself and know what you're strongest at and where maybe your weak areas are, and be able to outsource those or to connect with other
Totally.
freelancers for those kinds of things, because yeah, you can't do it all. So
Yeah.
yes.
That's been one thing I've loved working for Backcountry as a graphic designer is we have a whole copywriting team, and it's just so cool to like be able to like throw ideas out there with each other and like bounce ideas off each other and all that good stuff.
Cool. Good questions, you guys. Keep them coming.
Oops, I have this set to page. So yeah, you can see there if this is set to page, then it aligns that to the center of the page. But I just wanted those aligned to selection, and then I'm gonna hit that. Bring this down.
Cool. Yeah, that align tool it's
amazing.
Probably one of my most used tools.
I also love just how like the grid that like when you move something like
these smart guides that
smart
pop up.
guides, yes, super helpful.
So helpful, yes. Jazz says, loving how clean and gorgeous this guide is getting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Leo says, just putting up the copy instead of knocking my head against my desk sounds nice. Yeah, if you can work with a copywriter, you know, if that's not your strong suit, that's a great way to go.
Yeah, that was one thing with web design even. Like I love building websites and show it in Squarespace. But but building websites in WordPress I know how to do it, but it's not my favorite thing to do.
It's a lot more coding, right?
Yeah, there's coding and like if you don't know code very well, it's tricky to kind of have that more fluid design experience. So I was bashing my head against the wall for that. So I reached out to this really cool coder who lives in South Africa, and and we just like linked up on Instagram kind of accidentally, and we started working together a little bit we have like some future partnerships in mind where we're going to have me do like the design, and then she'll go in and like code all those elements to lay things out.
That's awesome. That's so cool that with the internet, you can connect with people from across the world too, you know? Like, I mean, even just thinking about everyone who's watching this stream and how everyone's from different places, and like, we can be so connected now, even though we're not in the same area, which is so cool.
I follow so many different designers from like all over the world on Instagram, and it's so funny because like I'll see their beautiful designs and I'm like, I can't read what language that's in. It is beautiful. Yeah. Awesome. I'm going to put some copy in here in a second, but I'm going to put some placeholder in for now.
James shared some copywriting apps. So iWriter and Hemingway are great copywriting apps.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are those apps that like connect you to copywriters?
I don't know. Would love to hear more about them and what they offer.
Totally.
I don't know if you've had a chance to play around with this or not. Maybe not because it's fairly new. But Arslan asked if you had any remarks on the subject-aware text wrap feature in the newest update of InDesign.
I have not. I would love to learn about that, though. Yes. Definitely will be looking that up.
Yes. Sometimes it's hard to take the time to like play with all the new features, you know?
Totally. There's so many cool things though. Like I love the YouTube kind of overview videos they do when new updates come out.
Yeah.
There was one on the Yeah, there's one on the Photoshop update recently, and like there's this new thing where you can like change the sky just in like
Yes.
one click.
Yes, yes. My
It's
partner
so
was
cool.
she was watching that and then she was showing me and I was just like, this is crazy.
It's
Like it's just
amazing.
getting to the point where like I feel like there's so many things now that'll just kind of do like you click a button and it like does it for you and
Yeah,
which is great. Like it saves you so much time.
it's
So
amazing.
I love that.
Technology is crazy.
Yes. James says that those apps analyze for reading complexity, adjectives, adverbs, repetitiveness, etc. So I guess it kind of gives you feedback on your copywriting.
That's so
Which is
cool.
cool.
I love that.
Yes. Yes, and Vuduval just reminded us that we have about 22 minutes until design feedback. This stream is
Ooh.
flying by. So make sure you're working on your sticker set, and Lily will offer some feedback in a little bit, in about 22 minutes on those. So yes, and then she says replace sky. Yes, it's such a cool
Yes,
new
that's
feature.
so nice.
Yeah, it's so cool. I feel like Adobe kind of reads our minds sometimes, and they're like,
Yes, that's so funny.
yeah. And the new Illustrator on iPad. I've been playing around with that, and
Oh my gosh,
it's so good. It's
amazing.
so fun. Yeah, been having a lot of fun with it.
I recently got my first iPad and Apple Pencil, and I'm like, oh,
Yes.
I
Okay.
can't stop playing with it. It's so
Yes.
fun.
You have to get Illustrator. It's yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes back and forth so easily between like your laptop and your iPad. So
Oh,
it's
that's
super
awesome.
handy. Yeah.
I'm changing this font out just because I was looking a little cursive heavy, which can be tough to read. Wanted a more clean look for the cover here.
Cool. Yeah. Sometimes you don't see those things until you're going
Yeah,
along and you look at it as a whole.
exactly. Okay, I'm
Oh,
almost.
cool. Anthony says, I've been working on my challenge on the iPad for the first time. It was so quick and
Oh,
easy.
cool. So
Yes.
fun.
The great thing about that is you can work on the challenge at the same time that you watch the stream on your computer. So
Yeah,
it's perfect.
that's
Makes
amazing.
multitasking a little bit easier.
And I love doing kind of combos like this sometimes where you have like cursive for the handwritten touches, but
Oh,
also
yeah.
script for handwritten
Kind of
and
like you
then
wrote your own name in there.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Adds kind of a little
I
little
love that.
touch.
Arson says the cover page looks so nice. It feels like everything in it is connected in terms of colors.
Oh, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think it's so helpful too to like sometimes you get so like zoomed in on certain sections and
Yeah,
like
to pull
working
back
on
and
it,
see
I
the
like love
whole
to pull
thing.
back and just
Yes.
check on things.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Do you have a dog?
I
I
do.
see your slider all the way up on dogs.
Oh
So
yes, I have two. I have a
oh,
golden retriever mix and Great Pyrenees.
nice. Oh,
She's
so
a
fun.
puppy.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
she's with
fun.
the dog sitter right now because she would be in my lap otherwise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you ever have clients who ask you to make guides like this for themselves, like for their own
Yeah,
company?
yeah. So I do these for photographers a lot where
Yes, makes sense.
yeah, so kind of like a portfolio book that walks through like all of their work and the different types of events that they do and like
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So it's a super handy little thing to be able to pull out.
Yes. Did you design that little mark?
I did, yes, yeah.
Did you do that in Illustrator?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah, so for that I drew a path that was like this wavy line, and then I used the type on a path tool
Yes.
to add the text there.
Nice. Yeah, I love that type on the path tool.
Yeah,
So fun to play around with.
absolutely. Yeah, and InDesign is so great because you can draw these like frames that you can adjust so easily.
Yes.
Like it makes placing text so simple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leo asked, do photographers make good makeshift designers? I've worked with one before.
I
feel like it depends on the person.
Totally.
And their experience. And,
Yeah.
some designers will also be good photographers and some photographers will also be good designers. People can do both.
Exactly.
But not always.
I feel like that like creative eye is an important piece, which a lot of photographers have. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 15 minutes until the Daily Creative Challenge. So if you guys have more questions, feel free to ask them now. While we have Lily here working on this client guide. And this is a list of the kinds of things that you could be hired for. Cool.
And I'll eventually have a little section for each of those where you can learn more about them.
Nice. Joe asked, what kinds of projects do you like working on the most?
I love I get hired a lot for full branding suites. And then in addition to that, I often do their website because, when you rebrand, you want a website that matches. So that's probably one of my favorite things to do is like total makeover of a brand.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Love being able to kind of delve into their story and tell it authentically.
And you just drag that to the top in the layers panel, right?
Yes,
so that it could be on top of the photos.
Exactly. That was one thing that when I first started, like I had to kind of figure out was like the pages. You click on the pages and then that brings up layers for that page. So like they're all limited to the page, which is super helpful when you're trying to organize things.
Yes. Arsalan asked, what designers do you follow for inspiration on Behance or anywhere, I guess Instagram
Yeah.
too as well?
My all-time favorite designer is her handle is Brighten Made, like Brighten like a light,
Yeah.
and made like handmade. And she does the most beautiful like branding work and web design. And she also has the cutest house. She like
Ooh,
designed her whole
I
house.
love
It's
that. That's
beautiful. So
awesome.
she shows like little snippets of that
Yeah.
on her page, which is super fun.
Cool.
And then I'm trying to think of some others. There's so many that I follow. Wayfair Design Studio is a really cool one.
Yes.
I love her stuff. Yeah, and I just recommend too, like if you have brands that you like the look of, like for me, Anthropologie was one that I love. So I follow like Anthropologie and Free People, and like just to like take a peek at their kind of branding, like when they post like a graphic with something, like it's just great inspiration.
Yeah,
And it's
for sure.
also, yeah, it's also a fun design challenge if you ever pick like a brand and decide to do something in their style. That's
Oh,
like a super
yeah.
good exercise.
Kind of as if they were maybe your client or something.
Exactly. And that's just a
Yeah.
great way to start thinking like outside of the box of like, just start thinking, I guess, within the constraints of another brand.
Yeah, absolutely. James asked, at what stage of the client designer interaction would you present this document?
Yeah, so this I would present probably once I've had a consultation call with them. So what I typically do is I get like an interest inquiry in my inbox, and from there I will send them my Honeybook. That's that client management software.
Mm-hmm.
They have a calendar scheduling link that you can like personalize, so it has your brand name. And so I'll send them a link to my schedule and get them set up for a consultation call. And once that is done and they've like expressed interest, then I'd typically send them over this welcome guide as well as like a proposal or a sample contract for them to look over.
Cool. And then a question about these photos. Ken asked if you took these photos yourself or if you got them from somewhere. So if anyone missed it, where are these photos from?
These are from Moyo Studio. They do a lot of like really styled stock photos that are pretty fun. My other favorite place is like Adobe Stock for photos because they have like really great variety of different styles, which is nice.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And if you guys missed it and you're just joining, this PDF is going to be interactive. So Lily's adding links to it that link out to other places like her site. Like, for example, this will probably link to your portfolio on your website, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So a handy feature of InDesign.
Absolutely.
So you just have it selected and you can just type it in right there.
Exactly. And this has like a list of your different hyperlinks in here, which is super nice.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
And another thing that's kind of a nice thing to do is, I know like with the magazine I worked with, they had like a little picture of a mouse that they would put next to their links just to like indicate that that's
you need to click here. Yeah,
exactly.
Yes,
I think a lot of people are like used to PDFs not being interactive.
Sure. It helps that you put the word here too, because then it's kind of like indicating, okay, this is click here.
Exactly.
James asked if you change this document based off of the client aesthetic.
So I typically don't, because my branding, I want my Wild Sage to have its own brand identity.
Sure.
So I think that like having a clear idea and a clear, strong brand yourself is a great way to indicate to a client that, you know, you're capable of creating that.
Yeah.
So having like consistent photos, like these are all from the same collection, and all my headshots are obviously from the same collection, and
Yeah.
all the design elements are cohesive. I think that shows that really well to your client. One thing I do for clients, if they have a very different taste, and it's something that's a little outside of my wheelhouse that I want to do, I would typically show a project to them that is
Yeah.
more in that vein. So like if I am sending over examples of work, I'll send over examples from something within that realm rather than
Yeah.
like something more consistent with like this, if that
Yes,
makes
yes.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense because this is your brand, your company. And
Yeah.
I think it, even if the style is slightly different than theirs, it shows them that you can design something within one brand voice, like very strongly. And then sending them a different project that maybe goes along a little bit more with their style or what they're looking for. That kind of
Yeah.
shows your diversity and that you can like take on their voice and you know visually show that in a different way than you're not just going to put your own uh you know your own style into everything. You can adapt to theirs.
Exactly.
So yeah.
That's one thing I used to get asked a lot before. That's kind of like with designing for other brands as like an
Yeah.
exercise. That's a great thing because you can add those pieces to your portfolio and just
Yeah.
say like I forget what the word is, but like just say like it wasn't actually for them. Just say that it was
Yeah.
uh, just a sample project.
Sure.
Yeah, and then yeah, like I've done samples for a bunch of different brands just to try to like extend my portfolio and have like examples of things that I can send to other brands that may not have the, you know, soft bohemian look and are looking for
Sure.
something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Arslan says, I've seen interactive PDFs where images animate too. Some move like slider images, changing after a second. Interactive PDFs in that way seem like a website. An interactive book seems alive.
Yeah, no, those are super cool tools. I used to do that with
Yeah.
the magazine that I worked with.
Cool. Valley asked, do you improvise your design or stay true to your original sketch?
It depends on what I'm working on. For something like this, I have like an outline of what I want to do for this. So like I have the different kind of sections broken out.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like doing a logo or something like that, I play a lot in the beginning, but I always go in with like a clear vision of what it is I'm trying to design and what aesthetic I'm looking for. So
Yeah.
there's definitely room to play, and I definitely recommend being playful with your design because it's just a great way to kind of
Yeah.
expand the possibilities. But yeah.
Cool. We have just a couple more minutes and we're going to jump over to um, the creative challenge for today and review those.
Yeah, I always love to play with like layering and like overlapping things.
Yeah, bring some interest and draw your eye right there.
Totally. Just gonna brighten that up a little so it doesn't. So the pink shows up more.
Yes, if you were working on a sticker for the Daily Creative Challenge, make sure you submit it now because we have about 2 minutes and then we're going to jump over there. And for anyone who missed the beginning of the stream, you saved that color palette to your library. So you could access it really easily and apply it throughout the whole design, which is super handy.
Totally. I also love, you can create like separate libraries too. Like I have one for like when I worked for that fair trade company, I have like all their colors and
so you could
assets
do
here.
different clients if you had regular clients you're going to be working with. Yeah, that's really great. Just right there, nice and accessible.
Totally.
Great. Well, let's jump over to Discourse really quick and take a look at that. Discord. And see what everyone submitted today for the challenge. The challenge, if you missed it, was to design a colorful sticker set ready for print. And Claudia went through the new recolor artwork feature in Illustrator. So if you missed the stream and you want to learn how to do that, you can watch the replay and you can still submit to this challenge later and you'll still get feedback from the community. So even if you didn't have time to do it now, you can do it later. So this is what Claudia did. And then I think she worked on it a little bit more after and finished it up. I know, it's so cute.
I love that.
Yes. So here's our first submission.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
This is such a cute retro design.
Yes. Makes me hungry. Think of retro dining.
I know.
Obviously, no, that's like what it's supposed to do, obviously. But
yeah. I love how it looks like a hamburger.
I know, that is so cute. Yeah, I also love how you kind of angled the text up there aligned with the stars. I think that's super, super cool.
Yeah, looks really good. Nice colors for a hamburger restaurant as well.
Totally.
Here we go. Okay, so there's these 2, or actually 3, that were designed. The Donut King.
Those are so cute. I love the sprinkles.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would say is like this red is a little bit hard to read on this particular color. So maybe try, making it a little bit more contrasted.
Totally.
Kind of same here, but the design is super fun.
Definitely.
Cool. I think this was from a different challenge, social media background design.
Oh, cool. That's cute.
Yeah. Very fun. Okay, and another sticker set.
Oh, those are cute too.
Yes. So fun.
Totally.
Love all the different colors that you're using.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I feel like that'd be a great sticker sheet for someone to get.
absolutely.
And then we have this one.
Oh, that's super cute.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say the one thing is the cursive might be a little hard to read
Yeah.
at that angle and that size, but
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, I love the design.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the font is going to be really challenging to read, and you want to make sure, it's going to be legible, especially if, yeah, you're right, if it's printed at like a 2-inch or 3-inch sticker,
Mhm.
it's going to be very, very tiny, but overall, so good.
Yeah, I love that color. It's like my favorite color. That
That
seafoam
teal,
green.
yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys for submitting for this challenge. There's going to be another one tomorrow, so make sure that you hop back onto the stream tomorrow and watch Claudia do another creative challenge and submit. It's a great way to get feedback from the community and just practice your skills and grow using these tools. So, yeah, thank you guys. We have a little bit more time with Lily, so we'll keep wrapping up this project, working on this client guide. And if you guys have any last questions for Lily, make sure to ask them now. I would love to hear from you. Cool. Yes, Ariana says very cool stickers. They were very fun. That's such a fun project. Everyone loves stickers.
Yeah.
So, a great challenge to design your own.
It's so fun to design things that like come to life like that. Like print's one of
Yeah.
my favorite mediums to work
Yes.
in because it's just so fun to see that stuff become a
Yeah.
real tangible
Yes.
thing.
I know. I feel like as a designer, you probably get to see that more than like we do like product photography. And so most of it is just digital and it's pretty rare for us to see our work
Yeah,
printed. So I think that's a really fun part of being a designer is you get to, especially if you do packaging or anything like that, you get to see it come to life more.
totally. Yeah, I recently got to do a like mailer for
Oh,
backcountry, and that
yeah.
was super fun to see. Like it's a little like catalog thing, and it's so fun to see that come to life.
Yes. Do you ever sketch out your designs first before, or do you kind of just like jump right into InDesign or Illustrator and go for it?
Yeah, I do sketch out a lot. It kind of depends on what I'm working on. If it's something for InDesign, I often create like an outline and then like get all the assets ready that are going to be included in there. But if it's like branding, I definitely do a lot of sketching
Yeah,
before
yeah.
heading into like Illustrator, just so I can get an idea of what I want things to look like ahead of time.
Leo asked, how should I treat photos on interactive PDFs? Should they be really small or could I bump up like the quality size wise? Does it matter how big or small your photos are as far as like,
Yeah.
will it slow down the document?
I've never had that happen. Yeah, I've always had pretty big pictures with the interactive documents I've done.
Okay, good to know. Arson asked, do you guys explore nature to draw inspiration?
I definitely do.
I can see it in your, I mean, even just in
Yeah,
those leaves that you have and the colors that you use.
living in Utah, especially now, like I'm always out
Mm,
hiking and doing that sort of thing. So, yeah, I always have my camera with me and I'm photographing things as I go. It's
yeah.
awesome. Definitely recommend it.
James asks, have you ever converted an interactive PDF to print, or do you ever print any PDFs for clients?
Um, I haven't done an interactive one that I've had to convert to print. I definitely have done print PDFs,
Yeah.
which then you get into like, depending on the printer, having to worry about like the color space that you're in and
Yes.
like making sure everything lines up with what the printer needs in order to successfully print your document. But
Sure.
yeah. And some printers offer that as like a service, but other times it's just nice to do it ahead of time.
Yeah. Elizabeth says this is looking nice.
Oh, thank you.
Manuel asked if you think it's worth it to buy an iPad.
I love it. I think
Yeah.
like if you're someone who like likes to do illustrations in any sense, it's amazing.
Yes.
It's also great for like on the go. Like I use mine instead of a laptop now because I have the is it the pro, the I don't remember which one it
Yeah.
is, but yeah, it's got a huge screen, so like you can get a keyboard for it and replace your laptop pretty much, and it's awesome. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah, it's a really very powerful tool.
Totally. It's also really fun. I love doing some hand lettering stuff every once in a while. So like doing your own lettering for projects like this, even like having your real signature there is really fun.
Yeah, to make it even more personal.
Totally.
Yeah, James says, I highly recommend the iPad. Yes, it's a great tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and James also said Adobe has so many products that work cross-platform, which is true. Like, especially, I feel like they're putting a lot of effort into their iPad apps right now, like for Photoshop and now the new Illustrator. So it's gonna be even easier to like work on both your laptop and your iPad, like back and forth, which is great.
Totally. I also love Fresco, and that app is so cool. You
It's
can like,
really cool. It makes you feel like a
oh
real
my gosh.
artist.
Yeah, it's crazy because like the watercolor paints, like it looks like you're painting with watercolor.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah.
Leo asked, have you made custom email designs, and do you have advice for how to go about that?
Yeah, totally. I do that all the time. That's one of my big roles at Backcountry's, designing emails. So for that, I typically work in either Photoshop or Illustrator. I find Illustrator to be a little easier for that. Just because you can add custom elements kind of and draw little things when you want them. But what I do is I'll create different artboards for different sections. So if it needs to be like a clickable section that has like a button integrated into it, I usually do one long artboard that has the entire email, and then I duplicate the different sections into separate artboards so that I can easily export all those different files as JPEGs, and they can just be pulled into like MailChimp or something and laid out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Leo says, thank you.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Thanks for the question. Thanks you guys for watching and
Yeah.
engaging and asking questions. It makes the stream so much fun when we get to hear from you guys. Arson says, Lily's website says intentional branding. Why intentional?
Yeah, so I think that intentional and like, I think authenticity is the other really important thing. So
Yeah.
I think that when people do branding, it's often, I think you got to look for themes that like run a little deeper than like if you own a cupcake shop, you might have a cupcake in your logo, but like you can totally go a lot deeper than that and like really explore like themes that are important and kind
less
of make,
literal.
yeah, more subtle and really play on those different things. So I think like intentionality when it comes to branding is really important because I think one of the things one of my creative directors used to say is what's your why? And like for everything you do, there should be a why in branding. Like every single color, every font choice, like all your pictures, like everything should have a reason behind it. And when I do like a full branding suite, I always give a branding guide PDF that I create. And for those, like I delve into like every little aspect and talk about like why I chose all the different elements and illustrations and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's so good. And that helps justify all the decisions that you made too, so that the client understands why those decisions were made. And that's
exactly
important with getting them on board. Going back to the email template, James says, that's a really great tip because email has so many different intents and reusing the same components stays true to brand identity.
Totally.
Yes. Is your process generally similar as like far as like you could have this page and it could apply to kind of any project that someone would want to work with you on, or do you have to kind of tailor this page to different projects?
For the most part, this is pretty broad. So this kind of encompasses like the different processes look different for different types of projects, like branding versus like if someone comes to me for like a catalog or something, it's gonna look different. Especially because like for a catalog, they've probably already got branding in place. So like you don't have to do so much of the like mood and aesthetic like discovery phase because they've already got a strong brand identity. It's more of a matter of like building within that scaffold. But I always start with like the inquiry or like the networking process and then consultation call where I just really listen to like what my clients' visions are and what is important to them. And then they get their proposal with the sample contract that they can decide to sign. And from there, we move into like creative discovery, which I always do like a lot of like mood boards and like creative examples to kind of get the client thinking about what they like and what they don't like and what they want their brand to communicate.
Cool. Yeah, just a few minutes left. So if you have any last minute questions, make sure to ask them now. James is asking for this page in particular, how do you navigate negative space? a lot depends on the style, but what's your thought process for the layout being too minimal versus overwhelming?
Yeah, totally. So I'm planning on doing more text down here. So this is all going to be filled in with text.
Sure.
And then over here, I'm probably going to play with these numbers to help fill up the space and make
Kind of like
this
you did on
font.
that other page where you had like the
Yes,
larger numbers. Yeah.
exactly. Like I think having a comparable amount of negative space on each page is really important to keep the flow
Yeah.
looking good.
Sure.
So jumping from like something like this, which it's kind of crowded and scrapbooky, to this would be a big,
Kind of
if you just
jarring.
left it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
definitely want to try to keep your negative space comparable across the document.
That's a good tip. Kind of the same as you reuse colors and keep your type
Yeah,
the same and reuse elements like graphical elements. You would kind of want to keep that negative space the same too. That's a really good
exactly.
tip. Anime Elephant says, I've really enjoyed this stream. Good job, guys.
Thanks.
And there will be another stream tomorrow with Lily. So if you enjoyed this one, or if you weren't able to watch the whole thing, there'll be a replay. But make sure you tune in tomorrow, same time, same place. What are you going to cover tomorrow, Lily?
Yeah, so tomorrow I'm going to be finishing this up and then also creating my interactive, it's kind of like a brand workbook that I give to my clients along with this. And it's the first step in the process thinking about branding.
Awesome.
So it'll have like fillable forms and all that sort of thing that I use. Yeah.
And that will be in InDesign as well, since it'll be interactive.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Cool. So fun. We have other streams going on today as well. We can pull up the schedule one last time to take a look at those before we end the stream. I'll have to make it bigger so I can read it. So right after this, we have our XD Daily Creative Challenge with Jesse, and then a draw along with Kyle. And then to end the day, there's going to be a rework it with Jesus and Claudie. So make sure that you guys stick around for those if you want to learn. We were kind of talking about XD a tiny bit earlier. So, if you want to learn that, make sure you stick around and participate in that challenge. And there will be replays available for all of these streams as well. So if you missed them, make sure to check them out. There's so much good content right now. Adobe Live has really stepped up their game in the last several months, added so many more streams. So it's a great, great resource. Cool. Have just a couple more minutes left. So any last questions? Arslan asked, do you always use pale/light color palettes on all your projects?
No, definitely not. I can actually show you for some other projects I've done here. This is my crazy color library. But let's see, like for instance, there's like tons of different vibes that I go through for like, this one was kind of an earthier
yeah,
one that was really fun. That was for a photographer. And these are all the different iterations of like, I'll go into Adobe Color and just like,
yeah,
and until I get it perfect. So there's lots of these saved in here. But I also love working with like brighter color palettes like this.
That looks like a sunset.
Yeah. Love oranges, obviously.
Yes.
And this is my website currently. That's the current color palette that I'm moving away from, those darker colors. But like some of these were for Swahili Coast, which was that fair trade brand. So they
much brighter than what you're using right now. Yeah,
exactly. And they work with artisans in East Africa to craft like sandals and like beach products. So I wanted to like capture that like bright tropical like happy vibe. So tons of fun colors for that.
I think that's part of the fun and the challenge of being a designer is learning to design within your client's aesthetic when maybe the colors will be slightly different than what you would have chosen for yourself, but that's part of the fun of it is being able to be flexible in that sense.
Exactly. Totally agree with that.
Well, this is looking really good. It's going to be fun to see the finishing touches tomorrow. Look at that. You did so much. 3 full pages and then almost 4 pages.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. Cool. How many pages do you have left?
At this point, it's an 8-page guide, so there's
Okay.
a good bit left. But
Okay.
the 2 of the last pages are the whole package is the branding questionnaire plus the welcome guide.
Sure.
So it kind of transitions towards the end into being more of a branding questionnaire to have them start thinking about those questions themselves for their own brand.
Nice.
Yeah.
Arson says, awesome work and very informative.
Thank you.
And Leah says, I'll make something like this for freelancing. Thank you for showing me this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely good to have these kinds of things to help really show your clients what they're going to be getting. And I think things like this can really seal the deal and make or break them working with you, maybe versus working with someone else, or just make them feel comfortable in your process and what they're going to be getting from you. So very important. James says, thank you for your tips and for answering all of my questions.
Of course.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah.
Yes, and Voodoo Val just dropped your link into the chat, so make sure to go check Lily out, Wild Sage Design, Wild Sage Design Studio on Instagram. And make sure to come back tomorrow. We're going to continue working on this document, and Lily will show even more of her process. So yeah, thank you for being here, and we will see you guys tomorrow.